Coming up.
In the implementation of the Net Zero Accelerator Initiative, with the emphasis on ensuring that investments drive industrial transition and significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. That's in his mandate letter. And you can't tell me anything about the targets, internal targets for this fund, for $8 billion. Commissioner, are you concerned with the answers of the Deputy Minister is talking about for this Net Zero Accelerator?
With a track record of failure after failure after failure.
Who instructed you that you couldn't release it?
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
The Commissioner's report listed the Net Zero Accelerator Fund as a measure to meet the government's emissions reductions targets. Commissioner, has the government revealed to you what the internal emission reduction target is for the $8 billion Net Zero Accelerator Fund? Yes or no?
So thank you for the question. We anticipate that there would be some questions regarding our new Net Zero Accelerator Initiative report, and Monsieur Lequin is here to address those questions.
It was just a simple yes or no. Have you seen that?
Yes. Yes.
You have?
Yes.
So what is it?
This is cabinet confident, so I cannot share this information. You have to ask the department.
I can't hear him, Chair.
Oh, sorry. So I'll move closer to the mic. So yes, we have seen the number, and this number is in it's cabinet confident. It's in the MC and TBS.
So you can't tell us what the $8 billion Net Zero Accelerator Fund is reducing by emissions because of cabinet confidence.
So in the
It's a
report,
secret?
I'm sorry.
Like, so who in cabinet? What department gave you that letter?
I said innovation, science, economic development.
Okay.
However, we noted in the report that in the ECCC modeling, the Net Zero Accelerator Initiative is expected to have a 19 to 20 megaton reduction in the plan.
Okay. So, Mr. Tremblay, my question is simple. What is the government's emission reduction target for specifically for the $8 billion Net Zero Accelerator Fund?
I think the answer has to be, and the question has to be asked to my colleagues that I said. I'm sorry.
So, Deputy Minister, your minister, in his mandate letter, actually states, and here I'll read it to you, support the Minister of Innovation and Science and in the implementation of the Net Zero Accelerator Initiative, with the emphasis on ensuring that investments drive industrial transition and significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. That's in his mandate letter. And you can't tell me anything about the targets, internal targets for this fund, for $8 billion.
As it was said, there was numbers that were included in the ERP regarding exactly the functions and how it works for these programs. The accountability is with the Department of ISET. We're there to support them, but we're not there to speak on their behalf, on their programs, and the way they manage them. So it would be more appropriate for the Department of ISET to answer these questions.
Mr. Major, just hold on. I'm going to ask the clerk to just turn the volume up. I'm getting reports from people who can't hear online and in the room. So if we can get the volume turned up significantly so we can hear what's going on clearly, I'd appreciate it. I'm just going to wait till that's done. And Mr. Major, you'll have 3 minutes remaining on the clock. No, just hold on. I want to get confirmation. I've got several notes from people who are having trouble hearing. And I will talk. Is it possible to turn the volume up in the room?
I'm asking.
Okay, thank you. No. Just hold on. He is a deputy. Is that better? Is that better? Is that better? Should we give it a go again?
I can always hear you. It seems to be those down there.
All right, well,
We'll try Mr.
go ahead.
Tremblay
You have 3 minutes.
So, Mr. Tremblay, do you know the target?
The documents that were shared with the auditor are documents that they share. I didn't see those documents. I'm not the ones who participated in the collection of the comments.
Do you know the target?
I
You
don't
don't.
know.
So you're
Not on- I came here for an audit on something different, and you're raising an issue about the net zero accelerator, which I think should be answered by my colleagues.
Yes, so that, on this, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is report 6 that the commissioner did. In it, there's a whole host of different type of projects that are to reduce emissions in Canada. We're talking about one of these, out of all these lists, there's a net zero accelerator. It's right there. It's in this fund, $8 billion. And you don't know the target, the emissions reduction target for $8 billion.
I'm telling you that it is more appropriate for the Department of ISET to answer your questions about how they manage their programs, the objective of their programs, and the result they expect. This is our accountability.
You are the top official in Environment Climate Change Canada. It's responsible for emissions reductions, and you don't know the target.
I'm telling you that if they didn't give
Yes or no?
if they didn't give you the information, it's not for me to reveal the information, whatever it is. It's for them to do it.
Do you think the Canadians deserve a right to know?
No comments. I'm not even part of those discussions, so that I think it's more appropriate to ask our friend at ISET to answer that questions.
Okay. Much time, Chair?
90 seconds.
That's good, I'll pass. Mr. Tremblay, the government gave away $700 million to a company by the name of PowerCo through the Net Zero Accelerator Fund. PowerCo is owned by Volkswagen Group, a German company that made over $476 billion, that's with a B, $476 billion in revenue last year. How many emissions are supposed to be reduced directly from the $700 million handout?
I don't have the information, and that's a question to ask the people who manage the programs, as I told you before.
You are the Deputy Minister of Environment?
I am the Deputy Ministers of Environment, but I'm not responsible for all programs that are managed under the federal government.
So who is responsible?
The Deputy Minister of ISET is the one who should answer your questions about the agreements they have with this business and why it's not convenient. It's actually...
Order. Order. Mr. Major, you have 4 minutes.
So I'll ask another one, and I'm sure you got the same excuse. The government gave away $61 million to a company by the name of Pratt & Whitney through their Net Zero Accelerator Fund. Pratt & Whitney is owned by RTX, an American company worth over $190 billion. How many emissions are supposed to be reduced directly from the $61 million handout?
It's the same answer.
You have no idea. And what's most frustrating, you're so flippant about it. You don't even care.
I do care.
Oh, well, so prove it.
Okay, I do care.
What is the goal? How many emissions? Was there even any targets?
I also care about accountability. I will not accept other...
Do you? So you would think the head cheese on environment and climate change should absolutely know how many emissions are being reduced by especially by an $8 billion program. You think you should be a little bit concerned about that?
This is not for me to comment on this, and you know that. You have to talk with the departments who's managing the programs. They're the ones who are responsible and accountable for this program, and that's the way it always has been.
Okay. You gave the parliamentary budget officer a copy of the government's impact report on the carbon tax. However, in your letter on behalf of Minister Guilbeault, you stated, and I quote, "I request that you ensure that this information is used for your office internal purpose only and is not published for further distributed," end quote. Why is Minister Guilbeault keeping this carbon tax report secret from Canadians?
We didn't give a carbon tax report. What we gave to the PBO, it's basic data. It's a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheets of information, and some of this information has not been published, and that's why, and sometimes it could be protected by certain act like the Statistical Act. So as we always do with the PBO, we want to make sure he's got all the information for him to provide and to develop his own analysis. So we gave him the information, and we put this request that he doesn't distribute the information, use it for his analysis, and make sure that it's useful for him, but not necessarily releasing it.
Could you table that report with the committee?
It's not a report. It's a decision that the governments will have to do. We can do the due diligence, and the decision can be
Could you
made.
table that?
Sorry?
Could you table that?
I'm not in a position to table it at this stage.
Who would be?
It's a decision that the governments will have to be made, will have to
So
make.
what
not necess-
government? The Privy of Mr. Conrad, would he be in charge of that?
C'est une décision qui devra être prise par les.
It's a decision that has to be made by government authorities.
Monsieur Ramsey.
Matt, thank you very much. You have the time to answer. It's a decision that has to be made by the government as such, that would indeed include discussions with the central agencies. Our role as officials is to ensure that in the information that is disclosed, that there has been due diligence done on what is confidential or not. But the decision is the government at the end of the day to whether to publish or not. It's not a report, but the data in question.
Commissioner, are you concerned with the answers that the Deputy Minister is talking about for this net zero accelerator?
Yes, in general, I am, in terms of the principle of transparency. If Canada were a country that was showing that it could meet targets, set targets, meet targets, set targets, meet targets, and we didn't necessarily need to see what was going wrong because nothing was going wrong, then maybe even I would agree they should still be transparent. But it's even more important that they be transparent with a track record of failure after failure after failure. Transparent with peers in terms of modeling, transparent with Canadians in terms of targets. All of this is important. I don't have any specific comment about the document or the Excel sheet that you're speaking of, but increased transparency is something that our office is concerned about, and it's a theme in several of our reports, including this one.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wiley.
First of all, a question to Mr. Conrad. The government is claiming the emission reduction target of their $8 billion net zero accelerator fund is, and I quote, protected under cabinet confidence, seeing as your role is with the Privy Council's office. Can you explain why?
So, Mr. Chair, if the question is like, why are we protecting cabinet confidence? It's a legal requirement.
Excuse me, that's not the question. I'm asking why we protect information that should be public under cabinet confidence on this file in particular, the Net Zero Accelerator Fund.
So I can't speak to the specific program. I can speak in general that we do not have specific rules for release of different programs. We apply.
Can anybody
rules.
from the Privy Council speak to this issue?
So I can speak to the cabinet confidence issue. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
speak
not
to
what
the
I'm
speci-
asking.
I can't
Sorry,
speak to
no,
the specifics
no,
of the program.
no,
That is
that's
an
enough.
ISET program.
That's enough. It's my floor now, not yours. My next statement I'm going to make is, why would cabinet choose to conceal under a shroud of secrecy their own target, public information, from the taxpayer? So I'm going to go ahead and ask over here to Jean-Francois Tremblay, Deputy Minister, Department of the Environment. You said earlier that you can't release the information. Is it that you can't release it or you won't release it? Those are two different things. Just the answer, can't or won't.
If you refer to the, just need specificity. If you refer to the information that they said was under cabinet secrecy, cabinet confidentiality, I can't release it if it's under cabinet confidentiality.
Okay, so it's can't then. So I have another piece of paper here from the Parliamentary Budget Officer, where you, on behalf of Honourable Stephen Guilbeault, Minister of Environment and Climate Change, you put a gag order on Mr. Yves Giroux, the PBO officer, and you said, I request you to ensure that this information is used for your office's internal purposes only and is not published or further distributed. So that is your signature on this, you're gagging the parliamentary budget officer on behalf of your minister. So if the answer is can't rather than won't at this point, so who instructed you that you couldn't release it?
Okay, just a few things.
One question.
No, but you have the right to ask the questions you want, but you're not going to gag me. I should be able to answer
Oh, I'm
the
not
question.
trying to gag you. I'm asking questions.
Yes.
No,
And
hold on. I want to
and
point
I-
out something. Mr. Chair, it's important. A lot of questions earlier, you said that you just couldn't answer it because that wasn't your purview. I expect an answer.
Yes, I'm answering. First of all, we didn't gag him because we gave him all the information that he needs to develop his own analysis. So there was nothing there that was actually not provided to Yves Giraud. So that's the first thing to say. Now,
You said PBO officer couldn't release it. That's the...
what we told them is we requested not to.
Excuse me, I just read what you told him. You told him, I request you to ensure that this information is used for your office's internal purposes only, not published or further distributed. You told him he couldn't put it
Yes.
out, precisely.
Because the information has not been vetted in terms of protections from a legal perspective. It could be protected under certain act. And also because it was never released. We asked him to not release it. So we give him the confidential information and say, use it for your analysis. As I said to your colleagues, the issue of releasing this information or those data or not, it's a decision for governments to make.
That's great. Back to my initial point. Who instructed you to carry out this letter to the PBO, and who instructed
Has
you?
restricted me.
Who instructed you that you could not release the information?
Advice from the departments, and to be fair with you, this is something we've been doing.
Hold on. You were advised by the department, but over here you're saying it was cabinet confidence. Which is it?
No, that's two different.
Yeah, exactly. Two different answers to the same question.
No,
I
it's
agree
not
with
the
you.
same
No, I agree with you.
question. The
It's two
question
different
was-
answers to
The
the
other
same question. Another question.
I
Was
never
it the Prime
pretended it was-
Minister, the Minister of the Environment, or the Minister of Industry who put the gag in the cabinet? Who did that? Who instructed you that you couldn't release public information?
This information has nothing to do with the net zero accelerator. This is information coming from Environment Canada. This is not cabinet. We never pretend it was cabinet confidential. What we said was that the information, as you read in the letter, was unpublished. That's what we said. And may have.
Okay, that's right. If it's not cabinet confidence, you can release it then.
As I said before to your colleagues, there's a due diligence to be made in terms of, is it information that should be protected on certain legislation?
You just said yourself that you could release it if it wasn't cabinet confidence. Which is it? You guys are going to have to start coming in
No,
here
I'm
and
telling
learn to
you,
be accountable.
we
None of
are-
you want to be accountable.
Yes, we are
And people are
accountable
watching
under-
it too.
This is the accountability under the federal.
Yeah, well, answer the question.
Accountability Act.
Answer the question.
There's more than one legislation that actually
Yeah.
manage confidentiality. So yes, we have to do the due diligence, and ultimately, it's a decision the governments can.
Answer the question.
And that is the time,
I
I'm
answered
afraid.
the question.
No, you're an
Stewart.
apologist for the government, and you
That
didn't
is
answer
the time,
anything.
Mr. Stewart.